Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are live. Fired up, Lisa.
Fired up again.
Fired up again, twice in one day. And I barely made it back to this live because I was stuck out on the road and traffic in New Jersey is hellish again. But I made it. I'm here, and we have two amazing individuals that we're going to be bringing on in about a second. You know these guys, and if you don't, they'll introduce themselves briefly. Josh Zolin, CEO of Windy City Equipment, author of Blue is the New White. JP Cahalan of XOI Technologies, the man behind it all over there. I promise you that. You need something done, he gets it done. And listen, guys, for the six people that don't know you, introduce yourself briefly.
Josh, you go first.
All right. Yeah. So I'm Josh Zolin, CEO of Windy City Equipment, headquartered out here in sunny and hot Phoenix, Arizona, with branches in Tucson, Houston, Texas, and Albuquerque, New Mexico. And as Rich said, also the author of Blue is the New White, host of Blue is the New White podcast, and a lot of other accolades that people don't care about. So that being said, JP, man, you're up. What's up?
Man, mine's going to be short compared to yours. JP Cahalan, I am a process engineer over at XOI Technologies, based out of Chicago, Illinois, but I've been doing this and working with XOI for about the last 8 years and have the pleasure of being able to meet wonderful groups of people just like yourself. So, yeah, excited to be here.
Yes, sir. All right. So listen, guys, we're fired up. We're talking technology, we're talking customer service, we're talking about transparency, we're continuing this conversation. But today we're gonna, I think, hyper focus a little bit on the power of visual proof to start. And just to get the conversation going, of course, with XOI, we're implementing this to all of our techs, Josh too, and they're using it on a daily basis, bringing picture and video to all of our customers and kind of changing the conversation. 90% of the information processed by the brain is visual. It takes only 13 milliseconds for the human brain to process an image. The human brain processes images 60,000 times faster than text. And one of the things that I think is interesting is that most people only read 20 to 28% of the words on a page, which rings true here. In our world, I can give some examples, but let's talk about visual proof and the power of what we're doing. I don't know, JP, you want to kick it off from what you're seeing from XOI's headquarters?
Yeah, man, of course. It's funny how things have evolved throughout the years because, we've been doing this for a long time, but, you look 4, 5, 6 years ago when people really started to use this at a foundational level, like you and Josh are in your organization, where it's taking pictures, videos of everything you're doing. I think a lot of this evolved from, and this is happening on the business side of things, I think this came out of what people anticipated as just regular consumers. I mean, when you think back to the original things that kind of started this along, I go back to the world where ESPN, I don't know if you guys are sports fans out there, but the ESPN app, I used to open it up and you would have to scroll through box scores. Now, videos just start playing on your phone. So we all kind of transitioned years ago to this visual verification to tell the story, to get you the transparency. And what we're seeing at XOI with the groups that we work with is this is where people are going. Their customers are relying on being able to see it to understand it, being able to see it to be able to communicate with their team on what they need to do. And we're seeing people, what used to be, hey, yeah, we're going to capture things on just demand calls, spot calls, service calls. People are taking pictures and videos of the tasking they're doing day in and day out, to allow people to understand conditions as they stand today to get prepared for the future.
Yeah. And Josh, let me ask you, so the one thing that I said, most people only read 20 to 28% of words on a page, and we're quoting customers all the time. I find it interesting that they're signing off on stuff and they don't even know what they're signing. And you have to go back and kind of show them, and the video has been kind of crucial in these conversations, especially with our key account manager on the road, Lori, calling and saying, Rich, can you go over this? Jeff over here wants to know, blah, blah, blah. And I have these videos to go back to kind of bring him in, because he's not reading, but I'm showing him. He's like, oh, okay. So I don't know. What are you seeing with stuff like that?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I think, what you alluded to is seen a lot in our industry, right? Is people only read a certain thing, or sometimes what we say is people see what they want to see or read what they want to read, and you don't ever usually notice that until you're past the point of no return, right? It's not until, the quote gets done, the work gets done, all of that, and then the invoice comes and it's like, well, you guys never said this, or it was supposed to be done that way, or you said this, and so we're constantly, and before XOI, we were constantly trying to back up and play in the rears, and it was really, really difficult. And I think that a lot of service companies out there probably feel that same pain. And so the flip side now with using XOI and this visual proof, I think all the statistics that you rambled off earlier is probably exactly why it was so quickly adopted, not only by our customers, but by our staff, because it was just that much easier to process, right? So now instead of having to read the quote or estimate or having to read the invoice or work order or whatever, you have this video that's showing you, and, it's almost self-captivating too, because you've got the video and, they're not long videos by any means, but they give you all that information and is so easily absorbed and retained. It just makes that process like 100 times easier. At least, that's what we're seeing. And the same is true for the techs in the field too, when understanding why they're going out on a callback, or if they have to identify a part or all of this stuff. That absorption rate and the ease of use and the accessibility is just, it's like night and day. We can't even imagine going back to just pen and paper.
Yeah. And, with that, and that's kind of the same thing here. Our technicians have adopted it, and our customers are seeing how important it is to have these things to go back to and look at, and they have it. It's forever. It's there forever. So that's another important thing for the history portion of it. And there's another thing here. In response to a recent survey, 95% of B2B buyers said they wanted shorter and highly visual content. Like Josh said, these are not 5-minute videos, and we do our best talking with our techs. I'm sure, Josh is doing the same thing, and his managers we want a story of the job, I think, in 90 seconds or less. And this is going to portray, walking in, seeing the error code. We're bringing everything to the table, talking about, this is visual proof of every single thing we're doing. And I think it's more important now than ever because, you look at the trades, and we've talked about this before, with, a plumber or electrician comes in, it's like, I don't know if I need this. Or you go to an auto mechanic, I don't know if I really need the rotary girder or the whatever these things might be. This really brings it to the honest talk level. So JP, you're seeing this across different industries.
Yeah.
HVAC, we're jumping into the food equipment world. What's maybe some of the response on this visual proof that is being delivered?
Man, people are loving it, and it's, again, it comes down to a lot of people in your guys' industry on the HVAC side, the refrigeration side. A lot of people have a general concept, and especially the people you interact with, of how the equipment in their buildings operate, but they don't really understand it when you get into the, no pun intended, the nuts and bolts of what's going on. They're trying to make decisions based on things that are written to them and told to them. And not everybody can make it on top of a roof or go into the back of the kitchen or go into a mechanical room to be able to be walked through this by a technician. So the fact that you have your technicians that can, in these short clips of videos, explain and provide the big thing I always say, justification through education. And that's what this can do. It allows somebody to say, okay, I get it, without having to be kind of dragged to it and shown in that aspect. Another thing I think is super interesting, and you kind of alluded to it, is what your technicians, I've seen your techs and Josh's techs do it too. Now with Bluetooth gauges, right, and the ability of phones to take screenshots of certain things, it's not just the videos of what the tech's seeing, but the visual proof of the readings at that time, or the pictures of your multimeter. And now you're just piling on this visual proof and validation of here's where things were. I don't need you to understand it, but you know what's out of tolerance, and I'll explain it as we kind of go through the story of the call. So yeah, it's been something that has taken on a life of its own. I think customers are starting to expect more, which I think is going to be an expectation thing that can be set. But I also think that was exacerbated by COVID. I think COVID forced people they couldn't be at a facility, and they had to make decisions and make choices remotely, and having this visual verification is the best way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's everything for us right now. I could tell you that. And talking kind of pouring over into, customer service in field service. What does this offer customer service? From our technicians' perspective, from our office perspective, and we talk about closing sales. What is this? I mean, for Josh, we're in the same boat. We're looking to listen. We're in business. I think people sometimes forget service companies are in business too. We're here to be profitable. We're here to close those sales and sell those parts or equipment or whatever it might be at the time that it's needed. How is this? How is this helping our managers close sales and being a little bit up on customer service? It's definitely improving.
Yeah, well, speak for yourself, Rich. I give all my services away for free. So, call Windy City today. Yeah, there's fine print there, but I'm not going to read it to you.
Yeah, well, and not to cut you off, but my dad used to say, people call here. What do they think? There's a steeple at the top of this building.
It's such an important point too, and it goes back to what JP said with justification through education. I talk all the time. Those watching or listening that know me and follow my stuff, I talk all the time about the perceptions of the industry, and the bottom line is that people fear what they don't know, right? And the skilled trades, refrigeration, HVAC, cooking equipment, these are all super specialized fields that unless you're in it, you don't know about it. You go to a restaurant and you order your food and it comes to your table and you eat it. But that's really the extent of what as far as how that food is stored and how that food is cooked and, all the things in between, let alone the repairs. So I think that the way that it helped me drive my sales is building that trust. I always used to have to justify if, say, a customer needed a new piece of equipment. Right. And I always had to justify that and say, okay, well, my tech said this and these are what the notes say and this and that. Because a lot of times these facility managers or whoever your main demographic isn't always on site. Right. So they're relying on you, to give them this information, but they always have questions. But, with that transparency that's driven by visual proof, you actually build that trust because it's as easy as saying you need a new piece of equipment here. Let me show you this right here, and that's a whole lot easier for them to understand. So what we've seen happen is the questions just stop. They know that we took that video. They know that we have the visual proof. So when we say, hey, you need a new piece of equipment or you need this repair done or you've got to move forward with this quote, instead of even saying why, it's okay, go ahead. And if that question of why does arise, send them the video, and then it just perpetuates this process. And you see it in all different aspects, like I said, the repairs, the sales, the rooftop work, especially the rooftop work, right? Because even if that customer is on site, rarely are they climbing up that ladder and getting on the roof. I just told you guys it's 120 degrees here in Phoenix. Nobody's getting up there except our rock star, superstar service technicians.
That's it. That's the truth. And that's a really good key piece for anyone watching and to continue the conversation with JP, because, when you have these guys on like I said, 120 degrees up there, 130 degrees, you're melting. Who wants to go up there, right? These guys are far and few in between. And that's why they get paid what they get paid. But yeah, when you have that capability to show them, here's what's going on in your rooftop unit. We changed the filters. We showed you all this. We showed you the belts. We showed you all these things. Because I know there's been times where customers, you could hear it and feel it in their voices. They're just unsure. Did they really do this? Did they really do that? And it's changing. It's changing that game. So, yeah, JP, what are your thoughts on customer service from through these videos and kind of giving these customers, end users, something else to look at?
I always come back to, we all know the phrase, the customer's always right? But a customer's always right even when they're not. so love that you're shaking your head. So this allows it to be the last thing anybody wants to do is get in an argument with their customer. And the last thing a customer wants to do is get in an argument with their vendor and their provider. That's just not where people want to be. Yeah. People just want to get to the answer, and you can't be mad when you get to the truth. That's just the way it works, in my opinion. And what this justification can do is when there is a question or a dispute from a customer, to Josh's point, send in that video and saying, yeah, we were there. This is the time and date stamp of when we were there. You can clearly see we changed the filters. We did this and did this. It stops that contentious moment. And there's only so many contentious moments that are going to happen before organizations part ways. And so I think what this does for a lot of groups is, whether it's customer care or dispatch or customer service side of it, they utilize this visual proof to constantly make sure that the communication is as professional as it can be. And I think when you're doing it that way on the backside of it being created, you're leveraging this thing full circle. I also think Josh, you mentioned something that was pretty interesting in regards to the sales side. One of the big things that I constantly harp on with contractors that I work with is this should be something that allows your account people, your salespeople, to have more meaningful dialogue about their equipment. Because when your salespeople are leveraging this, they can actually go and speak in specificity to what's going on, and you guys become more of a partner in building health and efficiency and equipment health and safety and all of that, as opposed to just a regular provider that's out there saying, hey, we think you should do this or do this. It's more about, hey, I'm seeing this. It looks like it could go a different direction in a couple of months. Let's start putting a plan together of if this happens again, what this could be. So those are the groups that I talk to where I get really excited, because they're cherry picking content to continue to evolve that relationship, even in between service calls and maintenance calls.
Yeah. Right on, JP. I'm telling you, we are hitting. Yeah.
The bar was set low when I came in here. So, I mean, like, I knew I was coming in. There's no high expectations when I get here. I'm a small guy, so.
Well, you know what? You said specificity correctly on a live stream, so you already won, dude.
Hey, man, I'm swinging for the fences. Coming in small, but swinging for the fences right
now. And through the continued talk on the customer service and in the field with these capabilities, accountability comes into play. From the technician. And my father used to say, son, your best customer is your technician. And, we have to take care of them like we would take care of our best customer. And, when you give, talking about the technology aspect and the customer service, I really do feel like we're giving them a leg up, because everyone wants to cover their ass. And this is CYA 101. And I know a lot of the guys, especially my old school guys, who were kind of like, oh, another new piece of the puzzle of technology here we got to do. And those are the ones that actually like it the most. They love that CYA. I'm covering my ass, baby. I got this out here. And, so let's talk about that real quick. The technician accountability, taking care of your best customer in-house, which is your technician. Anyone want to jump in?
Yeah, I'll take this one.
Go ahead, Josh.
All right. So, yes, I have found that exact same thing, Rich, and you're absolutely right. The old school guys, they love it, right? Because there's nothing previously, there hasn't really been anything to cover your ass except for those notes, right? And those notes only go so far. So when they actually have that, they get excited about it, being able to take video of it. A big thing for us was like PM service. Right. And something goes down right after a PM, or a few days or a few weeks, or some customers, if it goes down 9 months after a PM, they're like, you were just here. But, it's one of those things that now we're arming our technicians with risk management tools. Right. And we're saying, hey, here is all of the pieces of equipment that we worked on working flawlessly as we're walking out the door. And that's done wonders, because there's been situations, but like JP said, the customer's always right, even when they're not right. And that's hard, because you have let's say you've got one of your biggest customers, you do a PM and, they say, oh, well, this piece of equipment isn't working or whatever reason, and you have to go back out there. You find it wasn't your fault. There's a lot of times and a lot of circumstances before this visual proof that you're eating that call regardless. You're eating those costs regardless because you don't have a picture, because you don't have proof other than somebody's notes. But when you have that proof, I mean, there's nothing better than to drive accountability on all aspects, right? Because you can even use that in a training style atmosphere to say, hey, I watched your video, you missed something. Now we're going to eat this call, but now I have something on paper to show you, or on digitally to show you, to help you, learn and help you get to that next level, other than just me saying, hey, I think you did something wrong.
Yeah, it's facts. We got facts now. And, and JP, listen, you're talking, you're not just, you're doing a lot over there, but you're also training these technicians. So you're talking to them. I mean, what's some of your feel on these guys? Actually, I got 3 guys that need training. I got to schedule that with you.
We'll definitely get that to you done.
But what are you seeing from these technicians? Are they excited about it? Are they getting a little pushback? I mean, what are you seeing?
Yeah. So, I don't think anybody likes change, or very few like change, right? So, and technicians are habit-driven people, and that's just the way it works. And I think a lot of them have been burned by other technologies in the past. I'm not saying we're perfect, but we have really tried to make this a very technician-focused technology, making it as easy as possible for them. So I think you kind of look at it when I'm training people, the younger generation of technicians just inherently get it because they're already taking videos on their phone. It's how they consume the world right now. That older generation, to your point, Reg, they have had a finger pointed at them more times than they can count, and they see where this can go. And they're like, I get it, and inherently get it. For them, the biggest hurdle is listening to themselves on camera. It's a very weird thing to hear yourself first. You're like, dude, do I really sound like that? Yeah, bro, you really sound like that. That's exactly what you sound like. And so that's the biggest thing. So I think it's getting people over this, just their general fears. And once they're over that, they take to this. And the feedback that we get from our technicians that use this tool all over the place is, man, this is really easy. And the big thing they always say, this builds trust with my customer. And when we can do that for a technician, it's huge. But I also think it comes down to one other big piece, and we talk about the visual proof. One of my favorite stories, one of the first groups we were working with, there was a young Czech technician who was not very confident in making recommendations and would get nervous about it, didn't always know what to say, and would screw some things up. Now, this technician is capturing on video and either sending it directly there or watching the video with the customer and not having to talk them through what they experienced and what they saw. So you talk about kind of the soft skills of this, what this visual proof is bringing, and it's allowing this technician at his or her own pace to get comfortable with explaining problems to the customer because they're doing it on their own. And then they have the ability to actually share it and further explain it as it's being seen. So you're kind of, I don't want to call it cheating, but you're giving a technician, a young technician, a tool to be better, a resource to be better, even in spots that are not find it, fix it related.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's the accountability. It's giving them ownership of the job, like in a whole different way. It's not just the handwritten thing. Now, I mean, you own this job, and you own the video too. You own the pictures. Like, you produced a job here, and we have something to go back to. And Josh, I'm sure you how many times we have to go back into our history. It could be a month, 3 months, 4 months to have this stuff. And I do it all the time up here now, especially with warranty jobs. It's proven to be crucial to go back and say, they're like, oh, we didn't do this. Send it to them right now. Send them that link right now. And now we're talking in facts. We're not just talking on he said, she said. So yeah, super important for all those things. So guys, we're rolling through this episode. What else we got on the agenda here? We're talking video proof. We're talking customer service, technicians, technology. We're fired up. What else we got? Are we all out of gas?
I got a question for you guys. As guys that run your businesses, and being able to see what is going on in the field, what is this doing for you as the people that run the business to say, hey, I can go in and I can see what's going on with my technician, see how they're getting to kind of lines of logic. Because I'll tell you what, I've watched a ton of your guys' videos and why chemical cleanings are needed at this moment and why fans freeze up because we got to, that coil has all this dust in it. Is this giving you guys, with the visual proof that you see, and Rich, you talked about it a little bit, the ability to kind of have a more teachable moments because you get more eyes on site when you have the ability to see things?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. That's my managers have loved it. My service managers, my branch managers, and even myself, what it does for me personally, right, is it gives me that peace of mind, something that's ever elusive in my position, right, in Rich's position. It's really hard because, oftentimes, like I've got my own customers that reach out to me, right? Still, and they're usually the high level customers that I have deep relationships with or whatever, but they'll call me and they'll say, Josh, I got a big problem. I didn't contact dispatch. I just wanted to go right to you because I absolutely need this done. I'm like, okay, sure. No problem. I understand. Let me see what I can do. And, so what would happen before, right, is that I would constantly, because they reached out to me first, I feel like I have ownership over that particular job. So I would constantly be going back and forth with dispatch, with the technician. Hey, what are you seeing? What did you do? Any information that I can relay back to this customer to match their sense of urgency, I want to be able to do. But now that we've got video, I don't have to ask those questions anymore. I know when the tech got there. I know what the tech did. I've got all that information at my fingertips. So I don't have to worry as much as I used to. Which has been big for me. I mean, I'm, working all the time. Sometimes this happens at 8 o'clock at night and I'm, trying to enjoy, I don't know, an episode of, not Grey's Anatomy. And it's like, you're sitting there pondering and worrying and thinking about how this is going and what's happening and what you're going to say to the customer if it goes wrong and, how you're going to approach the situation. And so having a tool like this just kind of brings you that comfort, right? That you're just like, okay, whatever happens, however it goes down, I'll be able to explain it and deliver, this visual proof. And then, of course, on the management aspect of things, the accountability, being able to bring technicians in, say, you did this right, you did this wrong. We're using this in their annual reviews.
That's awesome.
And so top to bottom, that's my answer, for your question, JP.
Yeah. And I'll play off of that, honestly, talking about, worrying. And I have customers, same thing. You do have some of the higher level customers or dealers or reps, whoever it might be. They just want to go right to you and and you want to see now it's on my radar. Now I got to see this through. So I got to make sure that we're delivering, like Josh said, the urgency that they have. I got to deliver that urgency across to the team. We got to make sure this gets done. But another interesting aspect of this, and Josh, maybe you'll attest to this as well. We're not sitting in that service manager seat anymore, so we're not running that day to day because we're kind of putting out fires. We're all over the place. I almost feel like this gives me a sense that I'm closer to the business again because I'm seeing every video come in, and I'm not saying I'm sitting there watching every one of them, but throughout the day, it's popping up on my phone, and I'm like, oh, let me see what Rich is doing over here. Oh, Danny just finished over at Penn Medicine, a big account. I want to see what happened at Penn Medicine. Oh, we just did this. Let me see what's going on over here. And I feel like I'm a little bit closer to the business again, just through seeing the videos that these guys are putting out and producing. And that's important because, we talk about our guys being on an island out there in their own van. Sometimes you're so far away. It's like, are things good? Is everything all right? And this does put a little bit of that calms me down a little bit. I get to see it. So I think there's that aspect too. And then, again, with the service managers like Josh, our managers are, they're looking at them. They're sending off to the guy. There's actual discussions that they could have a better discussion now. Instead of saying, oh, hey, yeah, we're working on this Mary Chef and this blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I don't know what you're talking about, brother. Let me look at the video. It's changing the game in a lot of senses. And, we're really driving home here, ladies and gentlemen, is technology. And the food equipment industry, I think, has been behind the curve of the world, and we're all finally waking up and catching up. So I don't know. Hope that answers a little bit, JP.
No, dude, I think those are perfect answers. And at the end of the day, I think it's doing what both of you guys are kind of leading the charge on, which is bridging that knowledge gap and that skilled trades gap and allowing you guys to be closer to what's going on in the field and lend out that expertise. That's awesome.
Awesome, guys. So I think that's a great place to stop. We're 30 minutes in, and we're the fire's still burning here, but we have other things to do. Maybe I think I know Josh has a full schedule. I know JP is constantly on the move. So listen, we'll take this one down. Any last words for the people of the internet? Oh wait, guys, I'm sorry. I got a question.
Is XOI at RIFMA or NAFTA this year?
That's Taz.
That's an absolutely great question that I'm going to have to get back to Taz on. So,
all right. So ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're going to find out if XOI is going to be at RIFMA or NAFM this year. We'll be at both. We will be at both. We're going to both. So, guys, without further ado, I don't want to hold you up any further. Stay fired up, ladies and gentlemen. And I would say this too, JP, Josh, if anybody has any questions, these guys are open books. They're always available. They don't sleep. They don't take vacations. We're 24/7. So just reach out. Any questions, we're happy to help in any way, shape, or form.
This is my world.
This is it. So there we go. Guys, I appreciate you.
Hey, appreciate you.
Likewise,
Thanks for having
Rich.
us, buddy.
Thank you.
All right. Stay fired up, my friends. We'll see you mañana.